the last couple videos, I found this beautiful image of this landscape with mountains and trees and a river, and I had it printed on an 8x10 photograph. Now I'm going to reproduce it in acrylic paint on this canvas. What I want to explain first is how you can transfer an image before I get on to talking about the clouds where we left off last time. Okay, when you have like an image, like a photograph or a sketch, and you want to reproduce the basic layout of the images onto a canvas, sometimes people can look at this and they're very, talented right off the bat, and they'll go, oh, I can see this belongs right here, and they can distribute everything perfectly as it is in the image onto the canvas. But most people can't. There are different things that you can do with a lot of experience. You end up learning how to do it, which is what I have after many, many years. I am able to kind of put it very accurately into the correct position on the canvas by just looking at the photograph. But that's because I've done it forever. I should be good by now. But to start, people can sometimes get like an overhead projector, and you put like a little image of this into the projector, and it projects the image onto the canvas. You have to align it with the projector and everything. And then you can take light pencil and kind of put where the basic outline of everything is, and so that you know that everything's in the right position before you begin to paint. But there is a very old, ancient technique, tried and true, which has been around for billions of years, and I'm going to teach you it right now. Okay, so if you want to take this image and transfer it onto a larger, first of all, I chose an 8x10 image that is horizontally laid out. I chose a canvas that is 24 inches high by 30 inches wide, so it's also a horizontally laid out rectangle. Now, the proportions between an 8x10 photograph are exactly the same to a 24 by 30 canvas. So this will be exactly transferred correctly. Now, if it's a little off, if the proportion isn't quite correct, I don't care because I know it's going to be close. So the way I do this is I took my photograph and I write down the center of the photograph. I put a big black magic marker line. Then I took this half and I divided it into halves and put a black magic marker line down the center of that. I did the same over here in this half. I put a black magic marker line. So I put 3 lines on that created 4 equal strips going down the vertically on the front of the image. Then if you do 4 equal sections on the one side, you do 4 equal sections on the other side. So on this side, I put a magic marker line right across the middle, and then I divide it in half and put a magic marker line right across there. And then I put another magic marker line right across the half of that. So what I've created is 3 lines creating 4 equal sections running horizontally, which creates a 16 cube grid. So it's now 4 sections going this way, 4 sections going that way. So there's 16 cubicles in here. Then you take the canvas and you do the exact same thing. If you did it 4 sections by 4 sections on the image that you're transferring, you do it exactly the same. So but when you do it on the canvas, use a very light pencil because you're going to be painting on this. This doesn't matter. I put black magic marker lines because I'm just using this as a reference. But on the canvas, you use light pencil lines. So I divided the canvas in half and I put a light pencil line right down the center. Then I took the other half and I divided it in half and put a light pencil line. The same to this half over here. I put a light pencil line. So I created 3 lines, 4 equal sections. Then I went to the side and I did the same thing. I put 1 horizontal line right across the center. Then I divided this upper half into half and put 1 line across that in pencil and another line right across here. So what I've done is I've created a 16 square grid that matches this 16 square grid. So I know that this little corner square should match exactly this corner square. You probably can't see it on the canvas because the lines are so light. So every single square has its corresponding square on the bigger piece, and so every little square should be blown up and match exactly on the larger piece. So that's how you can transfer an image like this accurately onto a larger piece. But you want to make sure that it's laid out, like if it's horizontal like this. If it's like this, you'll want to turn the canvas and do it that way, because you want it, the basic shape the same, and you want to put the same number of grid lines as you do on this, on the side and the top, and the same on the canvas, the same number of grid lines on the top and the side. So now I'm ready to create the painting. And last video, I explained to you that I wanted to match this sky. So I chose cerulean blue, and I added a little white to it, because I want to match the sky, but I want it to be a little lighter than this, because when you put the wet paint on the canvas, it dries a little darker. So by doing it, creating a color, mixing a color on my palette a little lighter than this, I then transfer it. And when I last left you, I was just spacing it out, the whole blue, and a solid blue, a nice thick coat of that blue paint. And then it dried a little darker, and it matched pretty well, okay? So what I did is I brought the sky down lower than it actually is in the photograph, because you want to make sure you got the sky down low enough, and then you can paint the mountains and the trees and come up. But you just want to make sure that you don't make your sky and clouds a little too short, because if you have to go in and put a little sky down here, it may be hard to match, but there are tricks to overcome that too. But generally, you know, you will want to match this image onto here. That's what I want to do. So, okay, so I finished and I put this solid cerulean blue that had white in it all the way across. Then what I needed to do is I needed to lighten the lower part of the sky, because I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but when you look up at the sky straight up, that's the darkest blue, because there's the least amount of atmosphere between your eyes and the sky. When the sky comes down to the horizon line, the sky always lightens, because you're looking at the sky from further away. There's more atmosphere between your eyes and that horizon line. So the sky becomes lighter, because the more the atmosphere between your eyes and the object, the lighter the object becomes. Like when you look off into the distance, mountains in the distance will be lighter and softer, because they're far away and there's more atmosphere between your eye and the mountains. So I mixed a little white and cerulean blue. I mixed it lighter than this part, and I feathered it onto the painting down here. Before these mountains were in, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but I feathered the lighter blue down here and just feathered it up real softly and evenly up here, so that this bottom part of the sky was a little lighter, like it is in reality. Now, of course, you can paint your clouds any way you want. It's when you're the artist, you can do whatever you want, and it's your world, and you got to rock it out. But in this case, I'm trying to kind of match this picture. So I did the solid blue. I matched the blue, but made it a little lighter than this solid color, and put it all the way across the bottom and feathered it up softly so that it blends, so that the darkest part of the sky is up here at the top, and then it lightens as it goes down. Now, in sunrises and sunsets, you'll notice that there's a lot of different colors in. There'll be yellows and oranges and peach colors and red colors and lavender colors. And that's because when the sun's coming up and going down, it reflects differently off of the atmosphere on the planet, and it creates those beautiful colors that are associated with sunrise and sunset. But I'm painting a mid kind of day kind of sky, and they tend to be blue sky, deepest up above, lightening as it goes down to the horizon, with clouds. The clouds during midday will tend to be white with a little bluish white and a little grayish bluish white in them. But again, if you want to paint a day painting and you want to put orange and red clouds in, go ahead, because it's your world. I have done paintings that were representing like a day sky, and I still chose, I wanted to put a little lavender, a little orange, and a little pink in. And so I did, because it was my world, and I rocked it out with those kind of clouds, because it's always up to you. There are no steadfast rules in art, just suggestions, and I'm just giving you some suggestions here. So when I last left you, I was painting out this solid blue. And then, like I said, I lightened up the lower part of the sky. You can't see it because I've already painted the mountains. But I lightened the whole bottom part of the sky gently. I started and feathered it up evenly, gently, all the way across here. Then I decided it was time to actually put the clouds on. So I took my palette and I put white and I put a little blue in it, and I started putting fluffy white cotton ball kind of clouds here because I wanted to add clouds that were not in where I decided to veer away from this landscape is I decided I didn't want the sky to be so plain. I wanted to add some fluffy clouds in. So I veered away from the image and I decided to put some fluffy white cotton ball kind of clouds. So I used white with a little cerulean blue in it and a little grayish blue, and I painted them. Now, when you are attempting to paint clouds, you can always Google pics of clouds, and you will not believe how many billions of pictures come up. So beautiful. And you can study all the different types of clouds that manifest, and they're different every day. So you can study clouds and kind of reproduce them any way you want. Choose type of cloud that you want it to look like, or you can accurately represent something in a photograph. But I decided to add these fluffy cotton ball clouds with white, a little blue in the white, a little grayish blue in the white, and then I put little soft, little milky tendrils off of that because those appear sometimes. Little drifts, I don't know if you can see it, but, and so I did these fluffy cotton ball happy clouds because I wanted to add happy clouds to this painting. Then when I was done with that, I decided to move on and begin to paint the mountains that are the next closest to our eye in this photograph. So did you see this? This is the furthest away bit of the mountain range here. And it looks bluish. It's a lighter bluish. And that's because it's further away. So I looked at the little square where this is, and I went right here and I put a lighter blue than the darker blue, because the mountain is tinted by the blue sky. So even though it's way back, it's bluish because the blue sky is reflecting and affecting the color. And it's lighter because there's more atmosphere. Then there's a little modeling in the photograph, a little lighters and darker, little modeling in there, and I added those in. And then I went to do the darker mountain that's in front of it, that goes across here, that is in front of that lighter, further away mountain. So I did a darker, deeper blue mountain across here. And then I also modeled it with a little darker blue, a little lighter blue. I modeled it a little bit, but it's still much darker than this little peekaboo mountain that's even further back. Then I went on to the next step, my friends. And I decided I wanted to put in this mountain. Now, this mountain is full of evergreen trees. But if you notice it, there's no light showing through these. There's no light at all. So I knew that I took these corresponding squares and I painted a dark black brown with a little dark green in it base, because there's going to be no light showing through the leaves, but the lightness will be created by the pine boughs. But the background has to be dark and deep black brown with dark greens in it. So that's why I did that. And then this other whole area here, I did the background here in a dark black, brown, deep green base. And then I'll go in and put the light green trees, the deep dark greens and then lighter greens that are drenched in sun on top. And that's how you create the dimension and the reality of what this photograph looks like. So anyway, that's it for now. I'll be back to show you how I put the trees on. Okay, see you later.